Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Dana White spinning a yarn, spinning a narrative, doing a bit of damage control, because he's received quite a little bit of flack, quite a chunk of flack for the way he's gone about the Tom Aspinall situation. And I just want to take a little look, just make sure everyone's being honest about what was said and about what they said, and about how they felt at the time, and I want to make sure that nothing's missing, nothing's been deleted from the internet, no one's trying to hide anything. Just going to make sure that that's the case. So yeah, let's get right into it. Well, hey, look, now I'm in the corner. Dana, do the thing. Press conference.
And last one from me. Tom Aspinall did interviews recently saying that his eye is not better. He was a little bit disappointed with some comments you made. Have you spoke to Tom? Do you know anything about that? And what's your reaction to what he said?
I have not. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't remember exactly what I said. What did I say? That his...
Just said you think that...
I think his eyes are okay? Yeah.
Since no more pay-per-view, David with MMA in Myanmar.
Hold on, so I'm still talking to this guy.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Here's the thing. So obviously, and I know Tom said, I haven't even talked to him and all that stuff, but we have people all over him right now, checking up on him, making sure he's good. Does he need any help or, any specialists? Yeah, I'm no doctor. I'm just saying what I've heard. And that was in no way, it wasn't said in a way that they're like, oh, what do you think? I said, I think he's fine. It wasn't like that. I said, I think Tom's eyes are good. He's going to take some time, heal, come back to, that's all I said. I wasn't saying anything negative toward him. And I think the things can be taken out of context, or he didn't see what I said, because I don't even remember what the fuck I said. But never once did I say anything negative about him or, in a derogatory way. I'm sure he's upset and fired up, and, he'll get better, and we'll get him back in there.
Well,
yes, sir.
All right.
Well, let's take a look at what Dana did say, shall we? Because Dana White doesn't even remember what he said, He thought that his eye was okay, in quotations, Let's take a look. Let's take a look. So, this is immediately after the eye poke. As you can see, Dana White's looking a little bit angry. Looking a bit angry there. Angry Dana. So you're streaming my UFC? You're streaming? Stream East? What? That's what that face reminds me of. I'm copyright striking your video. Well, yeah, let's give it a listen. Let's see what let's see what Dana had to say immediately after the eye poke. This is the post-fight press conference.
It's because of an unintentional eye poke. What does it take to make an eye poke intentional? And is there even a way you could ever prove that?
Who the fuck knows? Who gives a shit?
And that right there, who the fuck knows? Who gives a shit? That's what Dana received the most amount of flack for. This is the moment that everybody saw. Who gives a shit, right? Who gives a... Maybe you should, Dana. Maybe of all the people in the world, you should be the one to give a fuck, as it's your promotion. As you are the boss of the UFC, perhaps maybe, of all the people in the world, you should give a shit. Yeah? Maybe? Perhaps? Just a suggestion, just throwing it out there. Maybe of all the people in the world, you should be the one to give a shit. But yeah, and that's responding to what makes an intentional eye poke, like what makes eye poke intentional. Who knows, who cares, who gives a shit? I don't know, maybe from start to finish of a 4-minute fight, one guy having his fingers just out the entire time, every time he extends his hands, being warm multiple times. Maybe that could be looked into, maybe. But we know Dana White can't address it, because if Dana White actually tries to address it, it becomes a real issue, and then he has to actually fix it, and that's just far too much work for Al Baldy. Anyway, our next moment comes at 6 minutes. Where are we? 6 minutes, 53 seconds. Oh, we're getting lost. Boom, we found it. Let's
And I
jump
know
in
you
there.
said you'd want to do the rematch between Tom and Cyril. It's very fresh, but any potential timeline for that? Like maybe January, the kick off the Paraman card?
Yeah, I mean, they're both in shape, other than whatever's wrong with his eye. You know, both guys are not.
It's the dismissiveness of it. You know, they're both in shape, aside from what's wrong with his eye. You know, having fucking fingers jammed in there and raked. You know, aside from that, both guys, healthy.
Not injured or as soon as
You know, both guys healthy, not injured. Aside from the fact one's just had his eyes fucking ripped out of his skull. Aside from that, both guys great. Not even a little bit injured. No, both guys great, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Lovely deflection, lovely dismissal from Dana White. Perhaps that's what Tom Aspinall was talking about. But we'll get to the call out.
possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, that was that one. Right, we've got one more. 8 minutes 13 seconds. Where is it? Give it here. Let's go.
Another.
You can't, just like, you know, I can't make people fight, right? If I want to put together a fight, I can't make people fight. And you definitely can't make somebody continue if they feel they've been injured. Only Tom knows what happened. You know, could he see, couldn't he see, could he continue? Only he knows that.
So there you have it. There you have it right there. Lovely dismissive attitude. A lovely hint of disbelief in there as well. Dismissal and also I don't buy this shit is what's mixed in there in what was obviously a very intentional and very deliberate eye poke. But obviously, you know, Dana White can't address it because then he would have to fix it. But I just love could he see? Couldn't he see? You know, only he knows. He told everybody he couldn't see. He said it multiple times. He can't see. There you go. There's a bit of information for you. Everyone saw the eye poke. Everyone saw the eye rake. It was more than a poke. He stuck both fingers in his eyes and pulled them down. You know, it was more than just a poke. But yeah, you know, could he see? Couldn't he see? Well, I mean, only Tom knows, really. And this is responding to like, how can we fix situations so that they don't end in no contest? How can we solve the eye poke problem in a way that maybe fights stop ending in a no contest? The guy's hinting at maybe being harsher with penalties, like taking a point and whatnot. That's what he's asking about, really. But like I said, if Dana White addresses the eye poke problem, which, you know, they've done in the past, but that's since been swept under the rug. If Dana White starts actually addressing the eye poke problem and actually getting, like, you know, trying to figure this out and being like, okay, let's try and invest some money in some gloves, even though they already did the gloves. They did the gloves worked fine. The gloves actually stopped eye pokes. Do you remember when they brought the gloves out and he was bragging about it? Like, yeah, no eye pokes, no more eye pokes. Gonna be a thing of the past. And then we swapped back because John Jones didn't like the gloves. You know? What are we doing? We had a solution to the problem. Dana White doesn't want to fix the problem because it's too much work for him. He doesn't care. He's got a fanny about with Power Slap for a bit. He didn't give a fuck. He said it himself. Who gives a shit? Obviously he doesn't. He's got to watch two fellas give each other fucking CTE with like just stand there and slap each other. That's what he's got to do. He's got to deal with Zuffa boxing. He's got to deal with getting terrorized by fucking boxing journalists that he can't control. So this is what he's responding to. So Aspinall did make his own video on his own channel talking about, you know, Dana White, the UFC, not really happy with them, not really happy with how they've been behaving after the situation. I believe the quote is disappointed, but yeah, did his own video. No real addressing from the MMA media. No real addressing until Ariel Helwani gets him on. And I think Ariel done him a solid here. And I'm not a massive fan of Ariel Helwani. I don't actually watch his show all that often. But he's done Tom a solid here, and he's brought up the issues that were brought up in Tom's own video and given him a much more mainstream platform to say it on. And I believe this is why it was brought up in the post-fight press conference 4-3-2-3. And that's why it was brought up again, and why Dana was made to sweat a little bit. Only a little bit, because like I say, he owns the MMA media. But let's take a look at this call out.
It was different. I got double eye poked illegally.
And then we get to the post-fight press conference, Tom, and Dana White is there, and his demeanor initially seemed to be one of someone who was upset, annoyed. And then he said the line that has been dissected, and you talked about it a little bit on your YouTube channel, where his take was Tom didn't want to continue. It didn't feel like he was defending you or the decision not to fight or the injury or even being critical of Cyril. It seemed like he was upset that the...
Notice how Ariel twists it a little bit. They twists it just a little bit, just a little bit. He didn't say that Tom. Dana White didn't say Tom didn't want to continue. Okay, Dana White heavily implied that he didn't believe Tom was injured. In saying, couldn't he see only Tom knows if he could continue. He's framing it in such a way. He didn't directly say it. Otherwise, But yeah, that's why Ariel Helwani is where he is. He twists things just a little bit. Just tweaks the narrative just a little bit to make it just a little bit more gotcha, a little bit more clickbaity, Let's continue.
Fight didn't continue because it was back and forth, and it seemed like he was actually rather complimentary of Cyril. When you heard his comments, how did you react?
Yeah, slightly disappointing, because he hadn't spoke to me. He hadn't give any up. He was already giving updates on my health, and he had no idea what had gone on. Yeah, so disappointing, mate. Disappointing.
The notion of it being framed as Tom didn't want to continue, as opposed to he got poked in the eye, he couldn't see, he can't get that stuff. That phrase, the way that picture was painted, in the moment you're in the hospital, you're hearing this, you're seeing this, and how did that sit with you?
I was very disappointed. Yeah, very disappointed.
Do you think the way that was phrased led...
Stop right there, Ariel. The quote of the day: Tom Aspinall is disappointed with Dana. Now, here's the thing. I think there's been a little bit of tomfoolery on Dana's side. Now, I can't confirm this. This is just alleged, right? But get on this. So Dana White also went on to Jim Rome. Don't really watch Jim Rome. Didn't even know he existed. But I had seen the clips floating around more closer to the time of Dana being on there and talking about the eye poke. I went back to try and find it for this video because I feel like that's a pretty egregious example of Dana doing the things that Tom is complaining about, i.e. just giving health updates without really knowing what's going on and implying that Tom's fine and he's not really injured in doing so. And I think that's the crux of what Tom is disappointed with here. So I went back to find it, and I couldn't find it. Thought it was very strange. I went to try and find it at the original source, to be fair. Couldn't find it anywhere on Jim Rome's channel. Thought that's kind of interesting. Maybe Jim Rome and Dana are friends, and because it's more of an egregious example of Dana being a bit of a dick about the situation. Maybe Dana was like, "Hey, buddy, take that down, buddy." And Jim was like, "Sure thing, Dana." Who knows? Because Dana's only friends with media members he can control. And he can be like, off the record, leave that bit out. Change that. It didn't sound very good. Ask me easy questions, They're the kind of journalists that Dana likes. So, not that I'm questioning the integrity of Jim Rome. I don't know him. But, like I said, I couldn't find this clip. So, there's, maybe he took it down. I don't know. If you can find it, let me know where it is exactly. I'd like to see the whole thing. But, yeah, I present to you probably the most damning piece.
That was devastating.
Right?
When your main event, and it's heating up, and it looks like it's going to be a really good fight, and then it ends with an eye poke, and that's how the fight ends. It's brutal. He's at home, he's recovering, and as soon as he's able to fight again, we'll book the rematch.
I was going to say, how long before he can fight again, and can we assume that you're going to run that back and book a rematch?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, we haven't heard that there's anything. He doesn't have detached retina. There's no damage to the eye. So, you know, he should heal up soon, and we'll figure out when we can make the fight again.
You see, I'm not even joking right now. Is that not the most egregious example of what Aspinall's been talking about? Maybe Aspinall saw the clips from the Jim Rome show. Maybe Aspinall saw those clips, you know? Maybe. And maybe that's what he's specifically referring to. I feel like that's a far more egregious example. Quite literally saying the eyes are fine. Like, as far as we've been informed, the eyes are fine. Like, just 100%, oh yeah, just imply that Aspinall's faking it. Yeah, the eyes are fine. The eyes are fine. From what we've heard, the eyes are fine. You know, there's no detached retina. You know, he's gonna be fine. You know, he's gonna get healed up. It's all gonna be okay. It's all gonna be okay. Give it another listen.
He doesn't have detached retina. There's no damage to the eye.
No damage. There's no damage to the eye. We've all just watched, by the way. This was like 2 days after, right? We've all just watched Cyril Gane stick his fingers in Aspinall's eyes and rake down. But his eye's fine. He's been complaining he can't see since it happened. But Dana says his eye's fine. I think that's why this clip's kind of disappeared. I don't know for certain that it has. I looked around. I did have a little look. I spent like 30 minutes trying to find it. But I also just didn't have the patience to sift through Jim Rome's content. I'll be honest. I don't know why Jim Rome's catching strays in this video. He just is. I don't even know the dude. I don't even watch his content, I'll be honest. I just remembered this going around on Instagram and on X and was like, I need to find the original source. Couldn't find it. So now I'm suspicious that Jim Rome's in on it. He deleted this for Dana. Allegedly. But yeah. I mean, I think Aspinall's perfectly within reason to be upset about this situation. 100% within reason to be upset. And also, I think that's probably why Dana White's probably gone through a little bit of effort to cover this up. I also feel like, you know, maybe a little bit's been, you know, maybe it's just a bit of Dana White has to give an answer. He feels like he has to give an answer. And you know what? Dana White even admits in the most recent press conference that he was implying, or he said, that he thought that Tom's eyes were fine. And yeah, maybe he did. Maybe he did. Maybe he thought Tom's eyes were fine. Maybe he thought Tom was faking. But now we've had the proof that his eyes are not fine, that he is not faking, and we've not really had like, oh, maybe we should do something about the eye pokes, you know? Maybe we should look for another way to resolve things. Maybe we should be sterner with when people are putting the fingers out with the warnings. Maybe if you catch someone putting the fingers out, it's a verbal warning. They do it again. The fight gets stopped. They get a stern warning. They do it a third time. That's a point taken away, regardless of whether they ever touch an eyeball. Maybe that's the way we do it. But it'll never get done because Dana White doesn't want to do it. It's too much work for Dana. Okay, we had the new gloves. We solved the problem. I've already said this. We solved the problem with the new gloves. Okay? Now, there's 2 reasons we don't have the new gloves. There's 2 reasons we went back to the old gloves. Okay? Because they worked fine. They stopped eye pokes. And that was the main reason that we implemented the new gloves, was to stop eye pokes. Right? That's what, and it was a success. I remember Dana's fucking bald head coming out and being like, we're going to eliminate eye pokes. We're going to eliminate them completely. No more eye pokes. And everyone was like, yeah, that's going to be fucking cool. We got the new gloves out. No more eye pokes. It was actually pretty good. There was a lot less eye pokes, and we actually seen people being punished for poking in the eyes or for splaying the fingers out. Because by virtue of the new gloves, if your fingers were splayed out, you were doing it deliberately. Because the glove encouraged your fingers to be down. Beautiful. It worked. It actually worked. Then the UFC noticed that since implementing the gloves, there's been a sudden drop-off in knockouts and finishes. Which is true. If you go back and take a look, there is a statistical drop-off in knockouts and finishes. Maybe that was an adjustment period that we just didn't let play out. Maybe the gloves were too padded, you know, maybe the gloves had too fine of padding in there, and it made it so if you had all the power but no accuracy, you couldn't knock somebody out, and if you had, I don't know, all the accuracy and no power, you couldn't knock someone out. And that's why people like Aspinall, Pereira, these kind of elite level strikers with the accuracy and with the power were able to continue putting people down, and all these other guys that are more middle of the road strike. I don't want to say middle of the road strikers. All these guys that aren't knockout artists and aren't at the tippity top of striking. You know, as we trickle down further and further down, we stopped seeing those kind of like bar fight brawl knockouts, you know, because you have to be accurate and you have to have the skill and the power to use the gloves efficiently. Maybe that was why, you know, maybe guys just needed to work on their technique and we get knockouts again. Who knows? But the second and most egregious reason we got rid of the gloves that would negate eye pokes is because John Jones didn't like them. Because John Jones gave a testimony to Dana saying, I don't like the new gloves. And I wonder why John Jones doesn't like the new gloves, eh? John Jones, the man who's famous for poking people in the eye, the guy who has admitted to actually be aiming for people's eyes, right? You know, I'm not. I poke people in the eyes. That's what I'm known for. And I just kind of stick it out. It's kind of like a big brother playing with a little brother, you know. And I just fucking stick my fingers in their eye. Just kind of, not like it's intentionally. I just put my fingers towards their eyes, and sometimes they walk into them. You know, I'm just trying to hold their head like a older brother would to a little brother. And sometimes, you know, I don't put my hand out like this to do it. I just do that instead and fucking stick my fingers in their eye. But yeah, I feel like that concludes this video. I feel like that's enough of a rant, right? How long have I been going for? Like 20 something minutes. You know, I'll make a little thumbnail or something that's a bit clickbaity. You'll love it. You'll love it. What excellent content. But yeah, I just feel like Dana should be kind of held accountable a little bit more than what he is. He's been running around flapping his gums about the situation he knows nothing about, and now it's come back to be like, you know, now it's come back to him, and he's like, oh well, you know, I wasn't saying anything that bad. I wasn't doing anything that bad, you know. Oh what? Because I didn't think his eyes were hit? Yeah, man. Yeah, because it's your job to fucking fix this shit, and you can't be arsed. But that does conclude this video. Dana White, what a scumbag. Allegedly. But yeah, you know, that's just how it goes. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving me a like, subscribe for more. There's a hype feature if you want to use that on me, maybe that'll help, you know. Help me put food on the table. Until next time, keep your chin down and keep swinging. Peace and love. I'll see you around.